Gaza conflict. Israel restarts airstrikes amid rocket fire. Israel has resumed its airstrikes on Hamas-controlled Gaza, after Israel's brief truce was met with continuing rocket fire. Israel had earlier accepted an Egyptian ceasefire proposal and halted operations on Tuesday morning, but the armed wing of Hamas rejected the initiative as a surrender. Palestinian officials say 192 people have been killed in 8 days of Israeli airstrikes. Israel on Tuesday reported its first fatality. Israel says it launched Operation Protective Edge to stop militants firing rockets into Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Tuesday evening that Israel would continue striking Hamas until quiet returns and that Hamas will pay for continuing escalation. The Israel Defense Forces said militants had fired 76 rockets into Israel on Tuesday. It took 6 hours for the first attempt to broker a deal between Israel and Hamas to founder. Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu had warned that if the rocket fire continued, Israel would hit back hard, and now it has. In the search for a ceasefire, this is clearly a setback, although not necessarily a terminal blow. Hamas wants some concessions, like the lifting of the tight restrictions Israel and Egypt impose on Gaza's border, in advance of any deal. Egypt won't give up on its diplomatic efforts after a single setback, but the resumption of hostilities means the question of whether Israel will eventually order ground operations is back on the agenda. A 38-year-old Israeli man was killed by a mortar shell fired from Gaza near the northern border with Israel, reports said. The IDF said that after resuming its airstrikes, 30 targets had been attacked in Gaza, including 20 concealed rocket launchers, tunnels, the weapon storage facility and operational infrastructure used by a senior militant. Under the terms of the Egyptian initiative, the ceasefire should have been followed by a series of meetings in Cairo with high-level delegations from the two sides. There has been no definitive response to the initiative from Hamas. Senior Hamas spokesman Osama Hamdan told the Edit had only heard about the truce initiative through the media and that a ceasefire could not be put in place without the details of any agreement being known. The armed wing of Hamas, the al-Qassam brigades, dismissed the initiative, saying its battle with Israel would increase in ferocity and intensity. The United States Secretary of State John Kerry said he could not condemn strongly enough Hamas' actions in continuing to fire rockets. Israeli government spokesman Mark Regev told the EP, Hamas had 7 hours to get their act together and they have rejected this ceasefire proposal. It's rejected it both in word and in deed. Middle East Quartet envoy Tony Blair said it was inevitable Israel would retaliate to the continued rocket fire. There's no Israeli leader that would survive the day unless they were prepared to take action, he said. What was needed, Mr. Blair said, was talks on both a short-term ceasefire and a long-term plan for Gaza. Israel's Security Cabinet, convened by Mr. Netanyahu, had approved the truce on Tuesday morning, minutes before the proposed time for it to come into effect, at 9:06 GMT. But he warned that if Hamas did not accept the ceasefire, Israel would have all international legitimacy to broaden the military operation. The BBC's Kevin Conley said that Israel's rapid acceptance of the Egyptian ceasefire proposal was a smart tactical move. If the deal had held, Israel would have been happy with the outcome, he says, because it has damaged stockpiles of weapons that Hamas will find difficult to replenish. The Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees UNRWA said on Tuesday that hundreds of thousands of Gazans were without water following the Israeli airstrikes and that 560 homes had been destroyed. Israel says more than 1,000 rockets have been fired from Gaza,